Ancient scrolls, heavenly books, and total invincibility. It looked like I had actually transmigrated. I woke up in a room decorated with ancient, elegant furniture. It took me a long time to process what was happening. This was the Tianyuan realm, specifically the North Region, Wind Forest Province, in a place called the Yifeng Kingdom. I was currently in the Luo family mansion in North Border City. My new identity: Luo Tian, the lazy, greedy, and spendthrift young master of the Luo family. I slapped my thigh in excitement. This was perfect. A useless, rich second-generation heir was exactly what I had dreamed of being in my past life. Back then, my parents died early, and I was always desperate for money. I had to work part-time while going to school just to survive. I died while delivering takeout on a rainy night, hit by a truck that ran a red light. But then, reality hit me. In a world where martial arts ruled, being a rich loser was dangerous. My father, Luo Feng, could protect me for now, but what if he died? With all this family wealth and no strength to defend it, I'd probably meet a very painful end. If I wanted to be rich forever, I needed power. The problem was, why was I such a loser in this life? Was there a secret? I grabbed my spatial ring and tapped it. "Senior, are you in there?" I whispered. The ring stayed silent. No grandpa in the ring, then. Maybe it was an ancestral pendant, the kind that required a drop of blood? I ripped off my pendant, bit my finger, and let a drop of blood fall. Nothing. I didn't stop there. I went around the room, dripping blood on everything. The thumb ring, the jade pendant, the jade flute, the sword, the vase, an old painting, my slippers, the spittoon, and even my chamber pot. The room was covered in blood spots, but nothing happened. I felt dizzy and cold. I wrapped myself in a quilt and sat down, shivering. I had lost so much blood, I was becoming anemic. Fine. This wasn't a traditional fantasy setup. Maybe it was a system? System? Your daddy is here. Come greet me. I shouted. Silence. Big brother system? I'm sorry for my tone. Let's talk. Still nothing. Grandpa system? Come see your grandson. A gust of wind blew by, and a crow cawed outside. I shook my head, feeling hopeless. A mortal start with no system? This was going to be a hard life. Suddenly, my head throbbed. A loud hum echoed in my mind. My vision blurred, and 9 golden books appeared in my consciousness. They hung there like 9 miniature suns. My golden touch had finally arrived. This was unique. With a thought, the first book floated toward me. It was the Heavenly Tao Sutra. The description was simple: invincible cultivation speed, invincible chi accumulation, invincible chi density. It was blunt and straight to the point. I flipped to the first page. A massive amount of information flooded my brain. It was the Heavenly Tao breathing method, specifically the body refining chapter. It felt like I had known this technique since birth. I tried to flip to the second page, but it wouldn't budge. I realized I had to break through my current level before I could read more. I moved to the second book, the Heavenly Tao Body Refining Art. Description: invincible body tempering. Speed: fast. Power: invincible. I opened the first page, and the knowledge integrated into my mind instantly. Again, the second page was locked. I went through the rest. The third book was the Heavenly Tao Visualization Method for the Soul, invincible. The fourth was the Heavenly Tao Movement Technique, invincible. Then came the sword, punch, palm, saber, and spear techniques. All of them were labeled invincible. Once all the first page contents were etched into my memory, the 9 books returned to their positions. It was time to test them out. I sat cross-legged and started the Heavenly Tao breathing method. I wanted to see if it lived up to the hype. I took a rhythmic breath. Suddenly, the spiritual energy within 100 meters of my room surged like a tsunami. It condensed in the air, turning into a pure white current that poured into my body. Light began to flash from my skin. 1, 2, 3, a series of spiritual glows erupted. Suddenly, I couldn't absorb any more. I opened my eyes and looked at my hands. What the hell? I gasped. I was at the peak of the 9th level of body refining. Just moments ago, I was at the 1st level. In the span of a few dozen breaths, I had reached the peak of the entire stage. The speed really was invincible. But something felt wrong. My foundation was unstable. My meridians hurt. My cultivation had jumped so fast that my physical body couldn't keep up. If I wasn't careful, my meridians would snap and my cultivation would be ruined. I immediately started the Heavenly Tao body refining art. There were 24 strange movements in the first chapter. My first attempt was slow and awkward, but as soon as I finished the full set, the pain vanished. My body strength had already reached the average level of a 9th level cultivator. I did it again. The second time was easier and faster. Then a third time, a fourth. By the 10th repetition, a golden light erupted from my body, enveloping me like a shield. I stared at the glow. Golden body protection? That was a sign of extreme physical toughness. The last person in our kingdom to achieve this was the Zen master Tianin, one of the top 10 strongest cultivators in the country. I had only practiced for a few minutes, and I was already at the level of a historical legend. I tried an 11th time, but I felt no further increase. I had hit the limit of this stage. Next, I moved on to the Heavenly Tao movement technique. After 30 minutes of practice, my figure began to flicker around the room. I was teleporting. I stopped and frowned. I can only teleport 10 meters? That's it. If anyone else had heard me, they would have choked. A technique that allowed even a 1-meter teleport was a priceless treasure. 10 meters was godlike, and I was complaining. I reached for the next book. I decided to tackle the Heavenly Tao fist technique next. I originally wanted to practice swordplay, but there wasn't a single blade in my room. Fist techniques would have to do for now. The first chapter of the technique was called the 9 Dragon Styles. It only had 9 moves. As I threw the first punch, a low roar like a dragon's cry echoed through the air. My fists whistled with every strike. I had to hold back my strength, terrified that a full power punch would literally bring the roof down. Even with my power suppressed, the air pressure was intense. After 30 minutes, I had mastered every move. I was about to move on to the next book when a voice shouted from outside my door. "Young master, the clan leader requests your presence in the front hall immediately." I frowned, feeling a surge of irritation. I was right in the middle of my breakthrough. "What is it?" I snapped. "There are guests," the servant stammered. "The clan leader insists you come now." I sighed and closed my books. I couldn't ignore my father. I changed my clothes and headed toward the main hall. Before I reached the entrance, I saw a young man waiting for me. It was Luorong, my personal attendant. His face was pale, and his hands were shaking with rage. "Luorong, what's going on?" I asked. The Luo family was huge, but we were tight-knit. Even though I had been known as a trash cultivator, I was always generous with my wealth, so the younger generation actually respected me. "Young master, it's too much. They've gone too far." Luorong's eyes burned with anger. You should just see for yourself." I didn't waste another second. I stepped into the hall. A man in white robes sat in the seat of honor, looking down on everyone. Beside him sat a girl in blue. She had her legs crossed, scanning the room with a look of pure disgust. My father, Luo Feng, and the rest of the clan elders were standing before them like servants. "Father, I'm here," I said, breaking the tension. "What's the matter?" Luo Feng looked at me, his eyes filled with shame. "Yuan, this is Elder Ming Xing from the Sword Profound sect. He is Lan Xiaoer's master." I froze. Lan Xiaoer. The name clicked in my memory. She was from the Lan family in Yinshui City, and she was my fiancée. I had a bad feeling about this. Lan Xiaoer didn't wait for me to speak. She stood up, her chin held high. "Lin Yuan, let's keep this brief. Last month, I broke through to the Qi gathering realm. I've awakened a spirit body and became a core disciple. Our engagement was a mistake made by our grandfathers. Look at me, then look at yourself. You're a waste who can't even get past the body refining stage. Do you really think you're worthy of me?" She looked at me with a mocking smirk. The Luo family members bristled, their faces red with insult. But I just stood there bored. "Oh, so you want to break the engagement?" I shrugged. "Is that all?" "Sure. Do I need to sign something? Do I owe you for emotional damages or something? Just give me a number." The room went silent. Lan Xiaoer stared at me, her mouth hanging open. She had come here to humiliate me, to crush my pride. She didn't expect me to agree so easily. She didn't realize that to me, a modern soul, arranged marriages were a joke. She was actually doing me a favor. I just wanted her to leave so I could go back to my cultivation. Haha, the young master has such incredible character. Luorong shouted from the crowd. Such grace, such magnanimity. Yes, an elder whispered, nodding. To stay so calm under such pressure. He is a true man. I felt a bit awkward. They were overthinking it. I just didn't like her. Lan Xiaoer's face turned bright red with fury. She turned to her master. Master. Elder Mingxing narrowed his eyes. A cold, murderous intent filled the room. Lin Yuan, you're playing a clever game. You're acting humble now, so you can seek revenge later, aren't you? What? No, I said honestly. Don't lie to me. Mingxing barked. I've traveled the world for decades. I've killed more people than you've met. You think you can hide your schemes from me? You're probably dreaming of some 30 years in the East, 30 years in the West, revenge fantasy. It's pathetic. I threw my hands up. I'm really not. You're overthinking this. Xiaoer is a genius. Mingxing shouted, cutting me off. She has a spirit body. She has me as a teacher. You could work for 1,000 years and never touch the hem of her robe. Okay, good for her, I replied. Mingxing walked right up to me. I'm a cautious man. I don't leave even a 1% chance of a threat remaining. To ensure my disciples' peace of mind, I think I'll just cripple you right here. I stared at him. Was this guy insane? I had already agreed to the breakup. Mingxing, what are you doing? My father roared. Silence. Mingxing waved a hand. A blast of freezing energy slammed into my father, turning his face white. He began to tremble uncontrollably. You're in the void realm, my father gasped. In our world, cultivation had 5 early stages: body refining, chi gathering, spirit manifestation, void, and profound. My father was only at the 3rd stage. There hadn't been a void realm expert in our city for 100 years. This man could slaughter our entire clan alone. Ants, Mingxing sneered. He looked back at me. I'll give you 2 choices. 1, I let you go, but I slaughter every single member of your clan. 2, you kneel, let me destroy your dantian, sever your limbs, and pluck out your eyes and tongue. If you do that, I'll spare your family. The cruelty was breathtaking. My father looked at Lan Xiaoer, his voice desperate. Xiaoer, our families have been friends for generations. Your grandfather's life was saved by my father. Surely you won't allow this. Lan Xiaoer's eyes turned cold and venomous. Friends? Your father only saved mine to boost the Luo family's reputation. We don't owe you anything. My father looked like he was about to vomit blood. He had given everything to help her family, and this was the thanks he got. Mingxing grinned at me, his teeth bared. Well, have you made your choice? Young master, run. Luo Rong roared, his voice thick with desperation. Get out of here and avenge us later. I'm not afraid to die. The other clan elders stepped forward, their faces pale but determined. He's right, one of them spat. We are the Luo family. We have iron bones. We'd rather die standing than live on our knees under a threat. Luo Tian, go. Death means nothing to us. I stood there, completely stunned. This wasn't how the script was supposed to go. I looked at the Luo family members behind me, feeling a surge of genuine shock. My memories told me the clan was united, but this was next-level loyalty. They were actually willing to die just to give me a chance to escape. Beside us, Mingxing's eyes flickered with murderous intent. I could see him thinking. A family with bones this hard was a problem. If he let them live, they'd be a constant thorn in his side. He had clearly made up his mind. The Luo family had to be wiped out today. But first, he wanted to play with his food. Well, Luo Tian. Mingxing looked at me with a cruel, mocking smirk. Life or death? The choice is yours. He was trying to break me. He knew that if I chose to crawl and beg for my life, the spirit of the entire Luo clan would shatter. He didn't just want to kill me. He wanted to destroy my soul and humiliate everyone who believed in me. I felt a wave of pure disgust. Between Mingxing's arrogance and Lan Xiaoer's coldness, I'd had enough. I just wanted to go back to my room and practice my new cultivation. These people were pushing me too far. Choose. I choose your mother, I snapped. Mingxing's face twisted. Killing intent exploded from his body. You're asking for death. He lunged, throwing a devastating palm strike toward me. I didn't flinch. I stayed calm, circulating the heavenly Tao breathing technique. My body surged with power. Golden light erupted around me as I activated the first form of the heavenly Tao Dragon Fist. Mingxing was a void realm expert, 3 whole realms above me. I couldn't afford to hold back. As I punched out, a massive golden dragon phantom materialized over my fist, roaring as it tore through the air. Mingxing looked confused for a split second. He raised his arm to block. Crack! The dragon phantom slammed into his arm, shattering the bone into half a dozen pieces. He panicked, his eyes wide with terror. He used a movement technique to dodge to the side, barely avoiding a direct hit. But I was faster. Using the Heavenly Tao movement technique, I tapped my toe on the ground and vanished. I reappeared directly underneath him. How? When did he? Mingxing's face went pale. He couldn't even track my speed. Die! I warred. I swung an uppercut with everything I had. The blow landed flush against his chest. The impact was deafening. Mingxing was launched into the air like a rocket, his body smashing through the ceiling of the Great Hall and disappearing into the sky. Silence fell over the room. Everyone stared up at the hole in the roof. 10 seconds passed. Thud! Mingxing's body crashed back down, hitting the floor like a sack of wet meat. Half of his torso was gone. He was dead before he even hit the ground. The hall was deathly quiet. No one could believe what they'd just seen. This man was a Void Realm master, someone capable of wiping out our entire city alone. And I, the worthless, young master, had killed him in 2 moves. Honestly, I was just as shocked as they were. I was only at the body refining stage. Killing a Void Realm expert should have been impossible. It turned out the invincible reputation of the 9 Scrolls of Heaven wasn't an exaggeration. I turned my gaze toward Lanxior. She was frozen, her mind clearly unable to process the scene. The loser she looked down on was suddenly a monster. As I walked toward her, she trembled, forcing a smile that looked more like a sob. No, husband, wait, she stammered. Actually, everything I said before, it was just a joke. The crowd groaned. I looked at her with pure contempt. Shut your mouth. Who the hell is your husband? Her face flushed with shame, then hardened into a desperate mask. Luo Tian, I'm warning you. Don't you dare touch me. I'm a core disciple of the Sword Profound sect. More than that, I belong to the prince of King Shenwu's estate in the Yefeng Kingdom. Even if you're strong, you're an ant to them. If you hurt me, your entire clan will be erased. She was screaming now, her voice shrill and hysterical. The elders' faces changed instantly. King Shenwu? That was a name that carried terrifying weight. King Shenwu, an elder whispered, his voice shaking. One of the 10 strongest experts in the kingdom. My father, Luo Feng, looked grave. The situation had just escalated from a sect grudge to a national disaster. Are you done? I asked Lanxior. She nodded slightly, thinking her threats had worked. Bam! I kicked her squarely in the dantian. She sprayed a mouthful of blood as her cultivation base shattered, her spiritual energy leaking out of her body like a popped balloon. You destroyed my cultivation, she shrieked. I didn't answer. I stepped forward and snapped her arm with my boot. She screamed in agony. I didn't stop. Asterisk crack. 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 Asterisk. I systematically broke her other arm and both of her legs. The Luo family watched in horror. I reached down, grabbed her by the hair, and lifted her up like a dead dog. Listen, you trash, I growled. I'm giving you a chance. Go to your sect. Go to King Shenwu's palace. Call whoever you want. Tell them to come find me within 3 months. After 3 months, I'm coming to the Lan family to wipe you all out personally. Now get lost. I threw her out of the hall. Her servants, who had been hiding outside, scrambled to pick her up and flee. Tianer, why did you let her go? My father asked, his face full of worry. To him, I had just released a tiger back to its mountain. I smiled. Dad, after what happened today, everyone is going to find out anyway. If I killed her, they'd just strike from the shadows. By letting her go, I'm making them come to me. I'll settle it all at once. With my current techniques, I was basically invincible. Why play it safe when I could just crush everyone in my way? My father and the elders traded confused looks. They couldn't keep up with my way of thinking. Young master, how did you get so strong? Luo Rong asked, his eyes full of worship. I had a bit of a lucky encounter, I said vaguely. Explaining the 9 scrolls would take too long. I need to go into seclusion for a bit. I'll explain everything when I come out. Dad, I'm heading back. My father nodded quickly. Go. We'll handle the rest. As I walked away, I heard the elders starting to panic. They talked about the Sword Profound sect having an ancestor in the Profound realm. They talked about King Shenwu being a peak expert who might have even reached the legendary Void Returning realm, a level of power not seen in the kingdom for 500 years. They were terrified. They knew that if either of those powers moved against us, we were finished. Their only hope now was me. The elders nodded one after another. They knew the gravity of our situation. It wasn't just the King Shenwu's estate we had to worry about. A single Mingxing had nearly wiped out the Luo family. In this border city, we were a big deal, but compared to the true powerhouses of the kingdom, we were as fragile as a house of cards. What do you think Luo Tian's actual strength is right now? The great elder asked, his voice low. Everyone turned to my father, Luo Feng. He hesitated for a moment before answering. He killed Mingxing in 2 moves. I'd guess he's around the 5th level of the Profound realm. The others murmured in agreement. If I could reach the Void Returning realm during this seclusion, the family's crisis would vanish instantly. But the great elder just gave a bitter smile. Nobody in the entire Yifeng kingdom had reached that level in 500 years. They hoped I could get there eventually, but they knew that eventually wouldn't save us from the threats knocking on our door today. We need to call everyone back to the estate, the great elder proposed. We must protect the grounds while Luo Tian is in seclusion. Not a single soul is to disturb him. I just hope he finishes within a month, my father added, his brow furrowed. Any longer, and things will fall apart. Just as they were planning my protection, I walked right back into the hall. Dad, I'm hungry, I announced. My father stared at me, stunned. Aren't you supposed to be in seclusion? I'm finished, I said simply. I've already come out. The room went silent. From the moment I left to the moment I returned, less than an hour had passed. These men were all cultivators. They knew a typical seclusion lasted weeks, if not months. Tianer, don't push yourself, my father said, trying to comfort me. He clearly thought I was cutting it short because I was worried about the family. You need to focus on your cultivation. I shook my head. There's no point. I've already hit the limit of what I can do for now. In that 1 hour, I had successfully mastered every remaining volume of the 9 scrolls. I was physically incapable of progressing further without breaking through to the next major stage. The great elder squinted at me for a long time. His eyes widened slightly. He's right. He feels even stronger than he did an hour ago. The shock in the room was palpable. My father looked at me with a deadly serious expression. Tianer, tell me the truth. What is your actual realm? Everyone leaned in, holding their breath. I'm in the body refining realm, I said. The silence that followed was deafening. The second elder was the first to snap. Luo Tian, stop joking. A body refiner killing a spirit realm expert with 2 punches? We're family. You don't have to hide your treasures from us. I'm serious, I replied. I am at the peak of the body refining realm. Once I break through to the chi gathering realm, killing profound realm experts will be like slaughtering dogs. Even those at the void returning realm won't be a problem. They stared at me like I was a madman. But then they remembered the way I had handled Mingxing. If anyone else had said this, they would have laughed. For me, it sounded like a promise. What do you need to break through? The great elder asked, his voice shaking with excitement. The family will give you everything. If I could fight void-returning experts after 1 breakthrough, the Luo family would become a top-tier power overnight. Our safety would be guaranteed, and our resources would multiply 100-fold. I pulled out a list I had prepared based on the Heavenly Tao manual. These are the materials I need for my breakthrough. My father looked at the list and passed it to the great elder. The old man's face darkened as he read. Most of this is manageable, but there are 3 items here that we don't have. Honestly, you might not find them in this entire city. Which ones? I asked. He circled 3 names: beast blood of a divine lineage, celestial spirit essence, and 1,000-year stalactite milk. Without these, my foundation would be flawed, and my future progress would be stunted. The 4th elder cleared his throat. I might have a lead on the beast blood. There's a rumor that a beast with divine ancestry lives deep within the heaven-shaking mountains. That works, I said, brightening up. Even a diluted bloodline is enough. But that's monster territory, the fourth elder warned. Even spirit realm experts rarely make it out alive. I just grinned. I'll handle it personally. Then the third elder spoke up. As for the 1,000-year stalactite milk, the Earth Spirit sect might have some. They specialize in finding mineral veins. I heard they auctioned some off a few years ago. Great, I said. That just leaves the celestial spirit essence. My father and the elders traded uneasy looks. What's the catch? I asked. Celestial spirit essence only forms in very specific environments, my father explained. If it's removed, it loses its energy and turns to dust instantly. There are a few secret realms in the kingdom that produce it, but they are controlled by massive sects. A family like ours doesn't even have the right to enter. In this city, we were kings. In the rest of the kingdom, we weren't even fifth-rate. Which secret realm is opening soonest? I asked. The Purple Cloud Realm, controlled by the Gui Yuan sect, my father said. It opens on the 1st of next month. They're a top-tier sect with 3 profound realm experts. They sell a few entry slots every year, but we've never been qualified to buy one. The Great Elder paused, looking at me. At least, the old Luo family wasn't. With you, we finally have the combat power of a second-rate family. I nodded. I'll go get those 3 items myself. I'll leave the rest of the list to you. The Great Elder laughed, his eyes bright with hope. Don't worry about that. Having a genius like you is the greatest honor our family has ever known. We'll burn every coin we have to make sure you succeed. The elders looked at me with a mix of awe and hope. To them, I wasn't just a son or a nephew anymore. I was the future of the entire clan. I turned my head and saw Luo Rong standing beside me. His eyes were wide, filled with pure worship. Luo Rong, I said, catching his attention. I remember your dream was to become a body cultivator, right? Yes, he answered instantly, his voice firm. I nodded. Good. I'll teach you the 3 worlds body refining method. Luo Rong's entire body trembled. He knew I wasn't offering him some common manual found in a street stall. He'd seen my power. He knew this was the secret behind my strength. I stood up to begin the demonstration. Perhaps we should step out, the Great Elder suggested, motioning to the others. Teaching martial arts is a private matter, especially a technique this powerful. He was being respectful, but I shook my head. No need. You can all watch. If they were strangers, I wouldn't have shared a single word. But after today, I knew these elders were loyal to the core. I didn't need to hide from them. In an instant, every elder was back in their seat, leaning forward with intense focus. They didn't want to miss a single breath. To them, watching me perform was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I moved. I performed 3 complex, agonizingly difficult body-refining postures in quick succession. Did you get all that? I asked Luo Rong. Yes, I remember it. He nodded frantically. Try it, I commanded. Luo Rong took a deep breath. He closed his eyes for a second to visualize the movements, and then began the first posture. He didn't even get halfway through. Suddenly, his face contorted in pain. He felt a massive, invisible force pulling at his limbs, as if 5 horses were trying to tear him apart. There was a muffled bang. The energy recoiled, sending Luo Rong flying backward. He hit the floor hard, a trail of blood leaking from the corner of his mouth. Everyone gasped. What a brutal technique, the Great Elder whispered, his beard twitching. He hadn't even tried it, but his experience told him everything he needed to know. The sheer power of that single movement was terrifying. Brother Tian, I'm useless, Luo Rong groaned, struggling to crawl back up. He looked at me with deep shame. I stood there stunned. What was going on? When I practiced this, it was easy. It was actually quite pleasant. How did Luo Rong end up coughing blood after just half a move? Was his talent really that much lower than mine? Let me try, the second elder said, stepping forward. He was one of the few body cultivation experts in the family. He mimicked the first posture. His movements were incredibly slow. His face turned a deep, angry purple as he strained against the air. Just as he reached the end of the first move, he couldn't hold it anymore. He stumbled back 10 steps, gasping for air. He didn't spit blood, but he looked like he'd just run 100 miles. Old second, the Great Elder cried out in shock. The second elder panted for a long time before he could speak. Incredible, what a technique. Just one move, and the effect is better than a whole day of practicing our family's best manual. The room fell silent. We all knew it was strong, but this was beyond reason. And that was just the first move. But the difficulty is too high, the second elder added grimly. The pain is unbearable. Without incredible willpower, no one can survive this. Everyone turned to look at me. Their eyes were wet with emotion. Tianer, the great elder choked out. The world called you a fool, but we had no idea. How much pain have you endured in secret to master this? To suffer like that and never say a word. I've lived decades and never seen such resilience. Luo Feng, the second elder said, looking at my father. You have a magnificent son. I felt a bit awkward. They were overthinking it. To me, it didn't hurt at all. I realized then that the heavenly Tao techniques were different for me. Whatever happened when I gained those 9 scrolls had changed my body in ways others couldn't replicate. Young master, Luo Rong said, kneeling before me. I promise to give my life to master this. Don't call me young master, I said, waving him off. It sounds weird. Just call me Brother Tian. He looked at my father, who nodded. Luo Rong bowed his head low. Yes, Brother Tian. I swear I will never let this secret leave the family. I shook my head. There's no need for that. This isn't just for you. From now on, this is the Luo family's official body refining technique. What? Tianer, are you serious? My father stood up, his voice shaking. He wanted to ask for the family, but he didn't think it was fair to take his son's private treasures. I'm serious, I smiled. And I have more. A breathing method, a visualization technique, footwork, fist techniques, sword, blade, and spear styles. All of them will be family legacies. The elders were on their feet now, looking at me like I was a god. I grabbed a brush and paper, quickly writing down the first stage of each technique. I didn't give them everything, just enough to start. Based on how much they struggled with the body refining move, one stage was more than enough for now. This breathing method, it's divine. This sword strike. I've wasted half my life practicing garbage compared to this. The elders were crying. Actual tears were streaming down their faces as they read the papers. I walked over to my father. Dad, let the family practice these. But only those with good character. Keep it within the clan. My father nodded solemnly. I'll handle the selection personally. You have my word. Good. I'm going to find the 3 materials I need. While I'm gone, keep the family low profile. Don't provoke anyone until I get back. Don't worry, he said. I've got this. I nodded and walked out of the hall. Behind me, I heard the great elder whisper, Luo Feng, our family has finally found its wings. That night, across the city at the Lan residence, a different kind of energy was brewing. Lan Meng, the head of the Lan family, stared at his daughter, Lan Xiaoer. Her limbs were shattered, her face pale. His eyes turned blood red with rage. Xiaoer, who did this to you? It was Luo Tian, she wheezed. Luo Tian, that waste. Lan Meng roared. Impossible. It must have been the Luo elders. Those old bastards actually dared to strike a junior? Fine. If the Luo family wants war, they've got it. Daughter, wait here. I'm going to level the Luo estate tonight. Kill them all. Leave no one alive. Lan Meng roared, his voice shaking the walls of the Lan residence. But his daughter, Lan Xiaoer, grabbed his sleeve with her remaining strength. Dad, don't go. The Luo family is dangerous. Lan Meng stopped and looked at her, confused. Dangerous? What are you talking about? I know the Luo family. Even their strongest man, Luo Feng, is weaker than me. What could they possibly do? My master is dead, she wheezed. He died at the Luo estate. Lan Meng froze. His blood ran cold. Her master, Ming Xian, was a powerhouse in the Void Realm. A man like that had died in a backwater place like the Luo house. Did they have some hidden power he didn't know about? Dad, Lan Xiaoer said, her eyes burning with pure malice. Give me the communication talisman. I need to message my sect and the martial god prince. Only they can get my revenge now. While she sent her messages, the news reached the Jinxian sect. In the main hall of the sect's primary peak, a middle-aged man named Han Feng burst through the doors, panting. Sect Master Huinan, something terrible has happened. Huinan opened his eyes slowly, frowning at the interruption. Han Feng, how many years has it been? You're still so impulsive. What is it? The Lan family sent word. Han Feng said, his face grim. Brother Ming Xin is dead. He was killed at the Luo house in North Border City. Queen Anne's calm expression shattered instantly. Tell me everything. Lan Xiaoer says she sent Ming Xin to break off her engagement. She claims the Luo family was unreasonable and arrogant. They didn't just refuse, they launched a sneak attack and murdered him. They crippled her cultivation, too. And the Luo young master, Luo Tian, claimed that in 3 months, he's coming here to slaughter our disciples and wipe our sect off the map. Queen Anne narrowed his eyes. He wasn't a fool. The girl is likely lying. She wants to bait us into doing her dirty work. Han Feng blinked, scratching his head. Right. You're much sharper than me, brother. So, do we just ignore it? Ignore it? Queen Anne's eyes flashed. Impossible. Even if she's lying about the details, Ming Xin is still dead. That debt must be paid in blood. I'll go down the mountain right now and level the Luo family. Han Feng shouted. Queen Anne looked at him with pure disappointment. Han Feng, use your brain. Ming Xin was at the 5th level of the Void Realm, same as you. If he died, you're just going there to commit suicide. Oh, right, Han Feng muttered. Then I'll grab a few more elders, and we'll go together. No, we don't know their true strength yet, and the sect is too busy with that project. We can't spare any more Void Realm experts right now. Queen Anne's gaze landed on a golden token nearby with the words Martial God engraved on it. Lan Xiaoer caught the eye of the Martial God Prince, didn't she? Let the Prince's manor handle it. We work for them. It's time they did something for us. Meanwhile, in the capital of the Yefeng Kingdom, the Martial God Prince crawled out from behind the silk curtains of his bed. Behind him, the pale, lifeless bodies of 7 or 8 women lay scattered, their energy completely drained. Master's cultivation technique is incredible, the prince whispered, admiring his own reflection. One night of this is worth half a month of training. Too bad these women were just commoners. If I could get a spiritual body. He smiled, thinking of Lan Xiaoer. In 6 months, she would have been perfect. Once I drained her, I'd finally step into the spirit transformation realm. A 20-year-old genius. I'd be the greatest in the kingdom. Just then, a servant hurried in and handed him a message. The prince read it, and his face twisted into a mask of rage. Lan Xiaoer is crippled? Someone destroyed my prize before I could even taste it? He paced the room like a caged animal. Guards, tell Wu Linfeng to take the martial god units. Go to North Border City and slaughter everyone. I want that city level. The servant gasped. The whole city, Your Highness? The prince grabbed the man by the throat. Did I stutter? Stop. A booming voice echoed from the doorway. A massive, rugged man stepped into the room. This was the current martial god king, a stark contrast to his thin, feminine son. Father, the prince said, immediately dropping to one knee. The king looked at the dead women behind the curtains and sneered. Still wasting time with these petty tricks. He sighed, looking at his son. Listen well, our family is at a critical turning point. Every eye in the kingdom is on us. If you move the martial god guards now, you'll ruin 100 years of planning. Do you want to lose everything over a girl? The prince trembled. I was wrong, father. I won't do it. The king patted his shoulder. Be patient. Once our business is finished, you can slaughter as many cities as you want. I won't stop you. As the king walked away, the prince stared at his father's back, his teeth clenched. Old man, he hissed under his breath. A few days later, deep in the Tiandang Mountains, a massive explosion echoed through a valley. A body went flying through the air, crashing into the dirt. Uncle Wu, a young man screamed. The 3 of you, don't worry about me. Run. Uncle Wu coughed up blood. He was a seasoned hunter, but today his luck had run out. They were only on the outskirts of the mountains, yet they had run into a spirit transformation realm demon wolf. He had brought his nephews and niece out for a simple hunt to make some money and give them experience. Now, it was a death trap. The massive wolf stepped forward, its fur bristling like needles. It let out a bone-chilling howl that echoed off the cliffs. Go. Split up, Uncle Wu commanded, struggling to stand. I'll hold it back. He was ready to die. But then, a voice drifted down from the cliffs above. Whoa, that's a huge dog. The 4 hunters and the giant wolf all froze. They looked up, stunned. A dog? Who in their right mind would call this nightmare a dog? The wolf roared in fury. The sound was so powerful it snapped a dozen nearby trees like toothpicks. The situation was terrifying. The girl in the hunting party looked like she was about to burst into tears. The massive wolf was livid now, its eyes glowing with a murderous light. "Run! Get out of here!" Uncle Wu roared. He dragged his broken body forward, intending to throw away his life just to buy the kids a few seconds. But then I moved. Whoosh! I stepped off the cliff and plummeted straight down toward the valley floor. "What?" Uncle Wu gasped, his eyes widening. "He's jumping? Is he in the Jade Sky realm? Can he fly?" A flicker of hope crossed his face. If a Jade Sky expert had arrived, they might actually live to see tomorrow. But as he watched me fall, his expression turned to pure horror. "Wait, he's just falling. He's not slowing down at all." I wasn't flying. I was dropping like a stone. Boom! I hit the ground with a deafening crash, sending a massive cloud of dust and debris into the air. The impact shook the entire valley. The hunters stood frozen, staring at the crater I'd just made. Well, my voice echoed from the dust. That was definitely more of a rush than bungee jumping. I walked out of the settling haze, patting the dirt off my clothes. He's alive?" Uncle Wu stammered. He looked at me like I was made of solid iron. Falling from that height should have turned me into a pancake. I ignored his shock and looked at the wolf. Then I looked back at Uncle Wu. "Up close, this thing is even bigger," I remarked. "Quick question, is this a divine beast?" Uncle Wu blinked, confused. No. This is a black phoenix wolf. It's a demon beast. A high-level one." I let out a long, disappointed sigh. I should have known my luck wouldn't be that good. Just a regular demon beast, huh? I turned to the wolf and waved my hand dismissively, like I was shooing a stray cat. Scram. Silence fell over the valley. The hunters were speechless. Even the wolf looked confused. This was a spirit transformation realm monster, a creature that could slaughter an entire village without breaking a sweat. And I was treating it like a nuisance. "Human brat," the wolf snarled, its voice deep and guttural. "Whoa!" I jumped back, genuinely surprised. "It talks." "I am going to tear you to shreds," the wolf roared. "It really talks. Did you guys hear that?" I turned to Uncle Wu, my face lighting up with excitement. Uncle Wu looked incredibly awkward. "It's a spirit transformation beast. It has intelligence. Of course it can talk. But kid, now isn't the time. Run. I'll hold it back." He stumbled toward me, trying to get between me and the beast. But the wolf was faster. It raised a massive, razor-sharp claw and slammed it down right toward my head. "No!" Uncle Wu screamed, closing his eyes. He couldn't bear to watch me get crushed into a bloody pulp. The wind whipped through the valley, then nothing. Total silence. "Uncle Wu, look," the girl whispered, her voice trembling. Uncle Wu opened his eyes and gasped. I was standing exactly where I had been. I hadn't moved an inch. The wolf's massive claw was pressed firmly against my shoulder, but I hadn't even buckled. The ground beneath my feet hadn't even cracked. The wolf's eyes went wide. It had put everything into that strike, enough to shatter a boulder, yet it felt like it had hit a mountain. I slowly turned my head and looked the wolf in the eye. My playfulness vanished. "You actually dared to hit me?" I asked, my voice dropping to a cold, dangerous whisper. The wolf's fur stood on end. It looked at me, and for the first time in its life, it felt true terror. It didn't see a human anymore. It saw a 100-foot-tall demon staring back at it. Run. That was the only thought in its head. Without a word, the mighty wolf turned tail and bolted. The hunters were floored. They had been ready to die, yet this kid had scared off a spirit transformation monster with a single look. Is he some kind of hidden master? Uncle Wu muttered to himself. I wasn't about to let my ride get away. "Heavenly Tao movement technique," I whispered. In a flash, I vanished. The next second, I appeared directly in the wolf's path. The wolf yelped, nearly tripping over its own paws. It couldn't even see how I was moving. To it, I was just teleporting. "Dragon form punch, first style," I muttered, clenching my fist. A golden dragon phantom coiled around my arm, radiating a pressure so intense it felt like the sky was falling. The wolf felt the killing intent and knew it was over. There was no escape. Thud. The wolf didn't fight. It dropped to its knees, slamming its head against the dirt. "Senior, have mercy. Please, spare me," the wolf wailed, sounding like it was about to cry. Behind us, the hunters looked like they had seen a ghost. "Uncle Wu, am I dreaming?" one of the boys asked. "I don't think so," Uncle Wu replied, his voice hollow. "A spirit transformation wolf is begging for its life." I relaxed my fist, the dragon phantom fading away. "Oh, you're a quick learner." The wolf exhaled a massive breath of relief. That punch would have erased it from existence. "I'm sorry, Senior. I was wrong. Please, let me live." I looked the beast over. "Tell me something. Are you a local here in the Tiandang Mountains?" "Yes, I was born here," the wolf chirped, desperate to be helpful. "Good. Are there any divine beasts in these mountains?" The wolf hesitated for a split second. I immediately began charging my fist again. "Tell me, or die." Wait. I know," the wolf yelled, hitting its head on the ground again. "I'll take you there." I smiled and hopped onto the wolf's back. It was surprisingly soft. "Catch you later, folks." I waved to the stunned hunters as the wolf stood up. We took off, leaving them standing in the dust. Was he an immortal? The girl wondered aloud. As we blurred through the forest toward the center of the mountains, I gripped the wolf's fur. "So what are we looking at? What kind of divine beast is this?" "He is the king of the Tiandang Mountains," the wolf explained. "A 5-colored divine ox. He was born in the spirit transformation realm and has already reached the 5th level of the profound heaven realm. A profound heaven beast. Not bad." "And Senior?" the wolf asked tentatively. "Why exactly are you looking for him?" "Nothing major," I said casually. "I just need to borrow a few things." The wolf let out a sigh. "That's good. But I should warn you, the king has a terrible temper. He hates humans. You need to be very careful." I patted the wolf's head. "Don't worry. I'm a very peaceful person." The wolf didn't say anything, but I'm pretty sure it was calling me a liar in its head. It knew I had almost turned it into a rug 5 minutes ago. We covered a massive distance in half a day. Eventually, the wolf slowed down as we entered a dense, ancient part of the forest. "Senior, we're entering the king's territory," the wolf whispered, its voice shaking. "Please, whatever you do, don't make him angry." "Got it," I said, nodding. "I'll be on my best behavior." I noticed the vegetation getting thicker as we rode. Rare spirit herbs and immortal fruits were everywhere, breathing in the local essence. These were clearly the king's private collection. "Just look, Senior," the wolf whispered. "Don't touch anything." A profound heaven beast once tried to steal a single fruit. The king tore him apart alive. I blinked, surprised. They were in the same realm, and he still killed him that easily? The wolf nodded solemnly. Divine beast bloodlines are terrifying. A divine beast can take on 5 ordinary beasts of the same level. And the king isn't even a pureblood. A pure 5-colored divine ox is even stronger. I nodded along, taking it all in. Suddenly, a booming, muffled voice echoed through the trees. "Who dares enter my territory?" The wolf started shaking. "Great king, it's me. I've brought a human senior who wishes to pay his respects. He has a request." "A human?" The voice dropped an octave, dripping with sudden rage. The wolf flinched so hard, he almost tipped me off his back. He was clearly ready to bolt at a second's notice. But then, the voice calmed down. "Fine. Enter." The wolf let out a massive sigh of relief. "He seems to be in a good mood. That's lucky." We moved into a clearing that looked like a paradise. A spiritual spring bubbled nearby, surrounded by lush celestial grass. Rows of bird demons sat on branches, singing elegant songs. In the center, resting on a massive white spirit stone, was the king. He was a 5-colored divine ox, and he was massive, several times larger than a train engine. He lay there, steadily exhaling clouds of spiritual mist. "Senior, that's him," the wolf hissed. "Watch your words. Don't say a single thing you shouldn't." He wasn't worried about me. He was worried about himself. He knew if the king got angry, there wouldn't even be ashes left of us. "Don't worry," I said. The divine ox slowly raised his head. His eyes fixed on me with pure confusion. "A human at the body refining stage? You have a request for me?" I nodded. "That's right." "Speak," the ox grunted. The wolf was ecstatic. The king was famous for his temper and his hatred of humans, yet he was actually being reasonable. The wolf thought we were home free. I want to bleed you a little, I said. The entire forest went dead silent. Even the birds stopped singing. This was the king of the Tiandang Mountains, a divine beast, and I had just told him I wanted to cut him. Senior, are you insane? The wolf hissed, his voice cracking. Bleeding the king? You think this is a grocery store? He looked like he regretted every life choice that led him to this moment. The divine ox stared at me, stunned. You want to bleed me? I nodded and reached into my storage ring. I pulled out a small glass jar. Yeah, just one bottle should do it. You even brought a bottle. The wolf looked like he was about to faint. The king let out a laugh that shook the ground, though it wasn't a happy sound. Bleed me? And you brought a bottle? Fine. Human boy, if you have the ability, come and take it. Okay, I said. I tapped my toes against the wolf's back and leaped into the air, landing right in front of the massive ox. The wolf just stared, convinced I was a dead man. I drew my sword and aimed it right at the ox's back. The king watched me with total mockery in his eyes. He didn't even move. He probably thought his hide was impenetrable. His internal energy was already coiled, ready to shock me to death the moment my blade touched him. Thwack! My sword pierced straight through his protective aura and his skin. 5-colored blood began to flow into my bottle. The wolf and the birds were frozen. Wait, is the king in such a good mood that he lowered his defenses? One of the birds chirped. Did he? It looked like that human just broke through them. Another whispered. Are you crazy? You know how tough the king's body is. He must be letting him do it. But the divine ox wasn't letting me do anything. His aura exploded in a fit of rage. You filthy human. You're dead. He tried to stand up, but my bottle wasn't full yet. I frowned. I didn't have time for him to move around. I reached out a hand, and a massive golden palm, larger than the ox itself, materialized in the air. Heavenly Dao palm. Stay still, I muttered. The golden hand slammed down onto the ox's back. He was halfway up when the impact drove him back into the dirt with a deafening boom. The ox was terrified. That single palm felt like a mountain had dropped on him. He realized then that I had been hiding my true power. Damn human! Get off me, he roared. He surged with power, trying to push against my technique. He actually started to lift himself up again. I told you to stay still, I said, my brow furrowing. Golden light flared around me. The palm doubled in size. Crack! The sound of breaking bone echoed through the clearing as the ox slammed back down. You broke my bones? The ox couldn't believe it. A single strike had snapped his ribs. His body was supposed to be several times stronger than a normal beast's. What kind of monster was I? He didn't dare move again. He just lay there, submissive. See? That's better, I said. I finished filling the bottle and capped it. Thanks for the blood. I turned around to leave. Wait, the ox barked at my back. I looked over my shoulder. What? The king was staring at me with pure wariness. Who are you? What is your real goal? Just say it. Don't toy with me. Even if I'm going to die, I want to know why. The birds gasped. The king had just mentioned dying. They finally realized he hadn't been letting me do anything. I gave him a small smile. My name is Luo Tian. Like I said, I just needed some blood. I'm not interested in anything else. The ox looked at me, searching for a lie. When he didn't find one, he finally let out a long, shaky breath. The pain finally hit him. The 5-colored ox let out a sharp cry, his fury flaring up through the agony. He glared at me, teeth gritted in a snarl. Is this how you borrow things? He barked. You shattered my chi and then broke my bones. I just shrugged. I told you not to move. You didn't listen. Is that really my fault? The ox went silent, his mouth hanging open. He had no comeback for that. I looked at the bottle of divine blood in my hand and felt a small pang of guilt. I had taken what I needed by force, and that didn't sit right with me. Look, I said, sighing. I'll admit I went a bit heavy-handed. How about this? I owe you a favor. If you ever find yourself in real trouble, come to the Luo family in border North City. I'll step in for you once. If anyone else had said that, the ox would have laughed in their face. He was a king of the mountain. He didn't need protection, but he had felt my power firsthand. His eyes brightened with interest. Do you mean that? He asked. I nodded. I keep my word. Good, the ox said, pushing himself up despite his injuries. Then I want you to step in right now. I blinked. Right now? That was fast. What? You want to back out already? He huffed. No, I'm a man of my word, I replied. Lead the way. The ox turned and started walking. I followed him deep into a desolate part of the mountain. It was strange. Everywhere else in the Tiandang Mountains was lush and full of spiritual energy, but this place was a wasteland. The ground was charred black. Not a single blade of grass grew here. Look there, the ox said, pointing with his hoof. In the center of the scorched earth stood a lonely grave. Stuck right into the top of the mound was an old, rusted sword. It looked like a piece of junk. The ox took a deep breath. He charged forward, slamming his horns against the sword to knock it loose. Boom! A massive flare of fire erupted from the blade. The ox was sent flying backward like a rag doll. He crashed into a cliff face hundreds of yards away, nearly collapsing the entire rock wall. He limped back toward me, trembling. I need you to break that sword, or pull it out, he wheezed. Do that, and we're even. I looked at the grave, then back at him. Whose sword is it? And who's buried there? None of your business, he snapped. Just tell me if you'll do it. I shrugged. I promised. I'll do it. I walked up to the rusted blade. It looked pathetic, covered in layers of orange decay. I reached out to grab the hilt. Flash. A wall of pure sword intent slammed into me. The force was incredible. My hand was knocked back, and I felt myself skid half a step across the dirt. The ox watched me, his heart racing. He knew the power of that sword. Every time he touched it, he ended up half dead. But I had only been pushed back half a step. He started to realize I wasn't just strong. I was something else entirely. I stared at the sword, my eyes narrowing. Impressive. This is raw sword intent. There's no one even controlling it, yet it has this much power. The owner must have been a monster. Brute force wasn't going to work here. I took a deep breath and began to circulate the heavenly Tao sword technique within my body. My aura shifted instantly. I felt sharp, cold, and focused. The ox stepped back, terrified. My presence had become so piercing it felt like I was cutting the air around me. I reached out again. This time, my fingers closed around the hilt. No explosion, no fire. He's holding it, the ox whispered, his eyes wide. Get out of there. I warned. I pulled with everything I had. The sword let out a high-pitched, metallic shriek as it was ripped from the earth. Boom. A pillar of terrifying sword fire erupted into the sky, dyeing the clouds of violent crimson. Settle down, I shouted. I pushed the heavenly Tao energy into the blade, forcing the wild flames back down. The fire vanished, sucked back into the rusted metal. Thousands of miles away, high above the clouds, a disheveled man was drinking from a gourd. He was drunk out of his mind. Suddenly, he paused and looked toward the horizon. Someone pulled my sword, he muttered, swaying. That's rude. I should go see. He tried to fly forward, but he was too drunk. He tumbled off his cloud and plummeted toward the earth like a meteor. He hit the ground with a deafening crash, creating a massive crater. Man, that wine from the jade pool is no joke, he mumbled from the bottom of the pit. Whatever. Finders keepers. You pulled it, you keep it. I'm going to sleep. A group of black-clad men with snake emblems on their robes rushed to the edge of the crater. Master, someone has trespassed on our sacred ground, one said. Should we kill him? The leader of the group slapped him. Are you blind? Look at the sword in his hand. The subordinate looked. He turned pale. The void-severing sword? That's him. Shut up and get everyone away from here, the leader hissed. Until he wakes up, no one goes near this pit. If he wakes up grumpy, only the sect leader can stop him. Back at the mountain, I was examining the rusted blade. It's just an ordinary iron sword, I muttered. But the intent left on it is so strong it turned junk into a divine weapon. I wondered how my own sword intent compared. I drew my own blade and swung it toward the sky. Shing! A massive wave of energy tore through the air, literally splitting the clouds in half. The ox stared at the sky, his jaw on the ground. If I had used that move on him earlier, he'd be a pile of steaks right now. He realized then that I had been incredibly merciful. Still too weak, I sighed, shaking my head. The ox almost choked. Weak? Are you kidding me? I tucked the rusted sword into my storage ring. It felt like it had about 3 good uses left in it. It would be a great trump card for later. I turned to say goodbye to the ox, but then the ground at my feet moved. A hand. A pale, human hand. shot out from the grave I had just unlocked. Whoa! I jumped back, ready to strike. What is that? Wait! Don't! The ox screamed. He rushed past me and fell to his knees in front of the grave. Mother! He started sobbing like a child. Shut up with the crying. A woman's voice snapped from the dirt. I'm not dead yet. The earth parted, and a girl climbed out. She looked no older than 18, but she had 2 black horns curling from her head and a large bronze ring through her nose. Mother! It's been 500 years, the ox cried, rushing to hug her. Bam! The girl slapped him so hard, he flew across the clearing. 500 years? She roared. It took you 500 years to get me out of there? Another century, and that sword intent would have ground my soul to dust. You useless brat. The king of the mountains just sat in the dirt, rubbing his face and looking down in shame. I'm sorry, mother. I looked at the woman and the 5-colored ox, completely bewildered. They looked like a pair of siblings, but she was calling him her son. The ox glanced at me and snorted, trying to regain some dignity. Fine, you took a bottle of my divine blood, but you saved my mother. I guess we're even. Before the words could even finish leaving his mouth, BM, the woman slapped him across the clearing again. Mother, why did you hit me again? Hit you? I should skin you alive. This man saved your mother's life, and you think a single bottle of blood makes you even? What? Is a bottle of blood worth more than your own mother? The ox shrunk back, terrified and speechless. The woman turned on a dime and blurred across the clearing toward me. She grabbed both of my hands and started shaking them vigorously. Tears and snot were streaming down her face. Benefactor, I was sealed in that grave for 500 years. I thought I'd rot in there forever, she wailed. You saved me. You brought me back to the light. I can never repay this debt. From now on, you are my big brother. Brother, please accept my bow. She dropped to the ground and kowtowed before I could even process what was happening. Mother, why are you kneeling to a human? The ox shouted, his face darkening with embarrassment. Bam! She reached out and smacked the ox on the head without even looking at him. Watch your mouth. What do you mean, human? Call him great uncle. The ox started to protest, but the woman's eyes flashed with a cold, murderous light. He flinched, his voice trembling. Great uncle. I stood there, speechless. This situation was insane. I had pulled a sword out of the ground and somehow gained a sister and a nephew. And the nephew was a giant ox. This woman had been sealed for 500 years, making her centuries older than me. Yet here, she was calling me big brother. So what exactly is the story here? I asked. The woman sighed. Brother, my human name is Nyo Tiechue. My son's human name is Nyo Wufang. My lip twitched. Iron Hammer in 5 Directions. Those were unique names, to say the least. I gave her a thumbs up. Great names. Truly memorable. Tiechue continued her story. Our 5-colored ox clan used to live in the southern region. When I was young, a disaster forced us to flee to the northern region. We settled here in the Tiandang Mountains. Once I reached adulthood, I became the demon king of this range. Those were the glory days. Even the royal family of the Yefeng kingdom had to show me respect. She paused, her expression darkening. But 500 years ago, a drunken human sword immortal passed through. He saw my divine bloodline and wanted to take me as a mount. I refused. So, with a casual swing of his sword, he sealed me in that grave. He said I'd stay there for 1,000 years unless someone could pull the sword out. But brother, I only had about 700 years of life left. Without you, I would have died in that hole. You are my savior. I nodded slowly, finally piecing the history together. Tiechue wiped her tears. By the way, brother, I don't even know your name or where you're from. Luo Tian. From Bianbei City, I replied. She slapped her thigh, as expected of my brother. What a dominant name. And what's our father's name? I rubbed my temples. Let's get one thing straight. He's my father. His name is Luo Feng. Got it, she said, nodding seriously. So, brother, what brings you to the Tiandang Mountains? I explained my situation and the materials I needed to collect. When I mentioned the Jinshin sect, her brow furrowed. Jinshin sect? What kind of trash is that? She spat. I've never heard of them. Wufang, do you know them? Neo Wufang lowered his head. I've heard of them. They rose to power about 400 years ago. They're pretty arrogant. A century ago, one of their elders reached the profound realm and came here trying to catch me as a pet. I kicked him until he was half dead, and he ran away. Kichue snorted. The nerve. Brother, do you want me to send your nephew to the Jinshin sect and level the place? I blinked, surprised by the offer, but shook my head. No need. I'll handle them myself. I paused, thinking of my family back home. If you really want to help, go to the Luo family in Bienbei City. Watch over them for a few days while I'm away. I'm worried some idiots might try to cause trouble. Kichue's eyes lit up. Don't you worry, brother. Our Luo family is my responsibility now. Anyone who touches us will find themselves in a shallow grave. Our Luo family. I didn't even have the energy to correct her. She was way too comfortable with this sibling thing. Right? She said, turning serious. You said you need divine blood to break through? Wufang's blood is too thin. Use mine. Before I could say a word, she sliced her wrist. A thick, vibrant liquid glowing with 5-colored light poured out. Compared to this, the blood the ox gave me looked like watered-down juice. She filled a bottle and handed it to me with a sincere smile. Here, brother. Take it. If you need more, just ask. I have plenty. I was actually moved by her blunt generosity. All right. I won't refuse. Thank you. I tucked the bottle into my storage ring. Are you hungry? She asked eagerly. I can cook up any demon beast in these mountains for you. Just point one out, and I'll kill it. Or, you want to stake off your nephew? Niu Wufang turned pale. He could tell she wasn't joking. If I said yes, she'd probably carve a piece off him right then and there. No, I said quickly. I'm in a hurry. I need to get to the Daiming sect. Kichue nodded. The Daiming sect? Fine. I'll call a gale sparrow to take you. It's the fastest bird around. You'll be there in half a day. Soon, a massive bird landed before us. I climbed onto its back, and with a command from Niu Wufang, it soared into the sky. Safe travels, brother. Kichue yelled, waving until I was a speck in the clouds. Once I was gone, Niu Wufang huffed. Mother, I know he saved you, but was all that really necessary? Calling him brother? Offering to kill me for dinner? Kichue's cheerful smile vanished instantly. Her face turned cold and calculating. Niu Wufang, do you think your mother is just some fool who likes calling strangers brother? I'm doing this to find us a backer. A backer? Him? Wufang asked, stunned. She looked at her son. How strong do you think he is? Wufang thought for a moment. Stronger than me, but not as strong as you in your prime. But his physical body is terrifying. It's not like a normal human's. Kichue nodded. To match his current physical strength, you would need to reach the 9th level of the profound realm. Wufang pouted. That's not so bad. Once I reach that level, I might not lose to him. Bam! Kichue punched him into the dirt. Mother! What? Because you're an idiot. She snapped. He is only at the 9th level of the body tempering realm. His body is already as strong as a 9th level profound realm expert. Do you think you can level up faster than he can finish body tempering? Wufang froze, his eyes wide with shock. What? He's only at the 9th level of body tempering? He wasn't hiding his cultivation? He remembered how easily I had crushed his bones earlier. If I was only at the start of my cultivation journey, what would I become when I actually started to grow? Niu Wufang had been convinced I was just some expert hiding my true cultivation level to trick him. But listening to his mother now, his face went pale. What's his actual realm? Kichue asked him coldly. Can't you see it for yourself? Wufang stammered, his voice shaking. His physical body is terrifying, but the spiritual energy inside him, it's scattered everywhere. It hasn't gathered into a core yet. He hasn't even reached the chi gathering stage. He paused, looking even more confused. But the concentration of energy I felt in him was already higher than mine. How is that possible? Kichue sighed, a look of deep respect in her eyes. Higher than yours? If we're talking about the pure quality of that energy, it's even a step above mine. Wufang's eyes nearly popped out of his head. He couldn't believe his ears. His mother had reached the rule-breaking realm 500 years ago. Compared to her, I was a complete novice, yet my energy quality surpassed hers. Is he some kind of monster? Wufang whispered. If he's like this during body tempering, what happens when he actually reaches the profound realm? Can a human really be that terrifying? As a divine beast, Wufang was incredibly proud. To him, regular beasts and humans were beneath his species in every way. But standing before me, the title of Divine Beast felt like a joke. If I'm not mistaken, Tietue said, her head held high. He is the reincarnation of one of the 5 emperors. Wufang blinked. The 5 emperors? What does that mean? Tietue looked at her son and smiled. You're young, so it's normal you haven't heard the legends from the primordial era. They say there were 5 emperors whose power was unrivaled. But they were betrayed by brothers or ambushed by their own fiancés and died unexpectedly. She continued, her voice dropping to a serious tone. Their bodies died, but their souls remained. Eventually, they would possess the bodies of trash cultivators in the human race. These losers would be bullied by their clans, looked down upon by their sects, or even have their engagements broken. They start at the very bottom, suffering every humiliation. Wufang listened, captivated. But, Tietue added, the more they suffer early on, the more explosive their rise. They suddenly become godlike, surpass their past lives, take their revenge, and build empires that last for millennia. Wufang started muttering to himself, connecting the dots. Human race, trash, broken engagement, sudden power. My God, he really is a reincarnated emperor. Tietue looked at her son, feeling quite proud of her own intuition. Now do you see why I was so eager to suck up to him? We aren't just making a friend. We're holding onto the thighs of a future emperor. She let out a long, weary sigh. Our 5-colored Divine Bull clan has suffered too much. We've been hunted, enslaved, and used as mounts for years. I fled all the way here only to be sealed for 5 centuries. I'm done with that miserable life. He is our only chance to change our destiny. Wufang took a deep breath, his resolve hardening. I understand, Mother. I'm going to the Luo family right now. I don't care what it takes. I won't let a single member of his family get hurt. Tietue nodded firmly. Good. This is the first task he gave us. We cannot mess this up. Meanwhile, miles away, I was sitting on the back of the flame sparrow when I suddenly let out a massive sneeze. The bird beneath me shuddered violently. Master, am I flying too fast? He asked, his voice trembling. The flame sparrow was terrified of me. It wasn't just because of how the bulls treated me. It was the pressure. Sitting on his back, I didn't feel like a human to him. I felt like a mountain of divine energy. Every time I took a breath, the very laws of the world seemed to shift around me. He felt like he could be crushed at any second. He was a high-level void-sprinting beast, but in his eyes, I was a god. I had no idea I was scaring him to death. I was just bored, so I'd been practicing my heavenly Tao breathing technique as we flew. You're not fast enough, I said. How much further? Just a few more miles to the gate of the Earth-Roar sect, the sparrow replied cautiously. But the sect is complicated. It's not convenient for a beast like me to go all the way to the door. Fine, I said. Just drop me off. The sparrow was overjoyed. He wasn't actually afraid of the sect. He just wanted me off his back. He dived down and landed quickly. The gate is just ahead, Master. If there's nothing else, I'll take my leave. I waved him off. Go ahead. The bird didn't wait. He took off like a shot, pushing his wings to the limit. I'm never taking a job like that again, he thought. That guy is a freak. I followed his directions and soon arrived at the entrance of the Earth-Roar sect. Something was wrong, though. A thick, heavy mist clung to the mountain path, swirling with a strange energy that blocked the way up. I frowned and raised my voice so it echoed through the trees. I am Luo Tian of Northern Border City. I've come to visit the Earth-Roar sect. Please, come out and meet me. The mist didn't budge. Instead, a cold, arrogant voice drifted out from the mountain. The Earth-Roar sect is closed to outsiders. We are not seeing guests. If you have business, come back in half a month. Leave now, or suffer the consequences. My eyes narrowed. I had been polite, and this was the response I got. Half a month? I didn't have that kind of time to waste. I don't need a formal meeting, I shouted back. I'm just here for a portion of 1,000-year stalactite milk. Give me the item, and I'll leave immediately. The voice in the mist turned furious. Kid, are you deaf? I'm giving you 3 seconds to get lost, or I'll kill you where you stand. Kill me? A cold light flashed in my eyes. I guess I looked too much like a pushover. Everyone seemed to think I was an easy target. I took a heavy step forward, the ground cracking under my boot. You want to kill me? Then come try.